Greetings for those of you who are viewing and listening from around the world. Welcome to My Journey with Paula G, where we are juggling this journey called life while we're walking in the gifts and the talents that God has given us. Thank you all so much for joining us. If this is your first time on the journey, we welcome you. We appreciate you viewing or listening. If you're returning, welcome back. It is so good to have each and every one of you back. You know, I always tell you all when I open this show that time is precious. It is the one thing that we cannot get back. So for you all to think it not robbery to spend just a little bit of time with us is truly, truly appreciated as we prepare these shows each and every week. We'd also like to take a moment to thank our underwriters, because without our underwriters, we would not have the opportunity to bring you so many testimonies and so many stories of those who are indeed juggling this journey called life while walking in the gifts and the talents that God has given each and every one of them. And you know, underwriting is a great way to gain exposure for your business, your product or service, as well as embracing the journey. So if you're interested in being an underwriter for My Journey with Paula G, you can email jerryvoicelive@gmail.com or paula@paulagvoice.com. Please place in the subject line underwriting opportunities, and we can have a conversation as to what would work for you and your audience as well. So we thank you all so very much. Before we introduce our guest, I want to share a bit of Paula's perspective. And this comes from my book, which is entitled My Journey to Lady Wisdom After Midnight, which is available on my website. And I just want to read to you a short excerpt and some reflections. The journey to finding the authenticity of who we were created to be as individuals begins at different points for all of us. You must determine where your journey begins. You must stay encouraged and stay focused on your journey. And as with all journeys, there will be obstacles, there will be setbacks, trials, tribulations, triumphs, sorrow, pain, joy, and losses. There will be detours, and some may be in the wrong direction. And you may travel in the wrong direction for a minute, and it may take you a while to realize that you're not going in the right direction. But once you realize you're traveling in the wrong direction, you may have to start over. But don't fret, don't get discouraged. It is all part of the journey. And I'm telling you, I'm a witness to that. As I've been on this journey, there have been detours, there have been obstacles, there have been setbacks. And I want to encourage you today, those of you who are on a particular journey of doing what it is that God has purposed you to do, to not get discouraged, to keep your eye on the goal, keep your eye on the vision, keep moving forward, because as you continue to move forward, you get over those obstacles, there are lessons along the way. And once you reach that goal, once you are really marinating in the purpose that God has created you to be, you'll reflect back and be blessed for that journey, where you'll be blessed for those trials, you'll be blessed for those tribulations, and you'll be that much stronger and wiser. So be encouraged. So I hope that encouraged you today. Well, today's guest, I am so excited to have these two. They have been on my particular journey with me for quite some time, and I'm so appreciative. And the accolades for both of them, I could take 10 minutes going through the accolades of both of them, but I'll just share just a little bit with you. Firstly, he is a former talk show host. He's a media icon in print, broadcast journalism. He's the founder and president of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame. He's an executive. She is a singer. She's a songwriter. She's an educator. She's a psychologist. And the two of them together, in my opinion, are a dynamic duo. And we welcome to My Journey with Paula G, Bernie and Uvee Hayes. Thank you all so much for joining me on the journey. It is so good to have both of you here.
Thank you for inviting us, Paula. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much. And your opening statements were just absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
Inspiring.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we get started, for those who have been with me during my radio days and live interview days, whenever I have a couple such as yourselves, I always want to share with the audience, firstly, how many years that you all have been married. How many years have you all been married?
Approximately
Bernie,
40,
you want to take that?
40 years.
40 years. So that's a journey right there, right?
Yes, it is.
Great journey.
A beautiful, beautiful journey.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, ladies first. So, Uvee, I will ask you share with us some reflections of that journey and some wisdom that you can share with other couples.
Well, I must say, my husband has been so supportive. Anytime you are there trying to do something, like you said in your opening statement, you get the ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. But my husband has always been there to support me and just edge me on. And you need that. You really do. So I am so happy and so pleased. And this last song that I did, it was truly for him.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that and the song that I love from a few years ago that you did as well. So we're going to talk about that. So Bernie, share with us reflections of the 40 years of marriage and any advice or nuggets that you have for married couples.
Well, it's just that she continually amazes me. She continues to show talent that I am finally discovering, even newly discovering. One example, at one time we opened up a beauty school, a beauty shop, and her being a school psychologist and a singer and an author, she still went to get beautician's license. so she would know the business that much more. And that's how efficient she is. So when she does something, I mean, she dives 100% into it. And that still amazes me. I'm just amazed at how much and dedicated she is to any object that she pursues.
That is so beautiful that both of you, even after 40 years, are still discovering things and still appreciate the support that you lend to each other. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. That is so beautiful. So Uvee, you were talking a moment ago about your latest song. So tell us the inspiration behind your latest song and tell us a bit about your latest song.
My husband was my inspiration. Share my world. I started to think about this song when my husband got sick. And just that little bit of time and that little bit of scare made me feel so like, gee, I need this. Share my world with me. And it just kind of went from there. I don't know if I'll ever really truly do a song like this again. It really came truly from the heart. And I really, really, I just, that's all I can say.
Yeah, it's such a
just love it.
Such a beautiful, beautiful song. I was listening to it and it's just a beautiful, and the lyrics, I'm one, and this is what I love about the music of days gone by, are the lyrics. There's so much meaning, behind the lyrics, because you had another song a few years ago that was inspired by Mr. Hayes. Can you share a little bit about that one as well?
Bernie, I think that was the one. Was that the one that was featured in Atlanta? I'm trying to remember. I've done so many.
I know you had a couple of them. It was yes, it was a couple of them.
It was In My Eyes. I remember that one very well.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That
was a great song.
Nobody But You, I think the one you're referring to.
I'm sorry.
Nobody But You.
Yes.
Yeah. That song went all over the country, all overseas. Just a beautiful song, and is still loved today.
Yes.
We're still getting requests for it. It's just a beautiful song. Yeah. And when he did the video in Atlanta, the stepping, oh, that was just absolutely beautiful.
The stepper community just embraced. I can't recall a stepper set that I went to that it wasn't played. And if the DJ forgot to play it, trust and believe he was reminded.
Oh my goodness. I was so proud to see you guys stepping on that song. that just really touched my heart, and I really appreciate Atlanta for that. Thank you so much.
And I remember you sharing about, when the inspiration, again, your husband saying, nobody but you. Oh, don't get me started.
Thank you, Paula.
Don't get me started. Mr. Hayes, you have had quite a career, radio, television, and now you're the president and founder of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, which I, for one, find such a great resource, a wealth of knowledge, and really a source of inspiration, because it shows the rest of us who are now in radio and television, which looks different than from years ago, the shoulders upon which we stand and the responsibility that we have to produce quality programming. So can you speak to your journey for us a bit?
Well, just to see your picture on our page and sit with your support is inspiring also. But it's just a dream that I've had for all the accomplishments that African Americans have played in the industry, all the accomplishments, all the achievements, all the wonderful things that they've portrayed, that they've done rather, they just seem to be left out of the history books. So it's our time to write our own history. It's our time to acknowledge those people who went so before us, whose shoulders we stood on, that paved the way. Like Jack L. Cooper back in 1929, when he began his radio program and started doing public service and public events and telling the people what was happening in their community. Well, it just eroded from there. Nothing was happening. They just didn't identify black people with anything positive. We were like the stepchild of the industry. But there's so much that they don't know about us, and that's why the National Black Radio Hall of Fame is growing. In fact, the chapters that we encourage now, it's the Chicago chapter, the Atlanta chapter that you're part of, the New York, Jackson, Mississippi, mid-Florida. We're trying to get Carol Carpenter to reactivate the chapter in Los Angeles. So all over the country. Memphis, Tennessee just came aboard. So it's to recognize those people who were pioneers in the industry, television and radio, who were people of color, African American people who did so much that we need them to know about. We need the world to know about.
Yes, and it's so important because, as you said, Black radio was the hub of the Black community. It's where we got our news. It's where we got our music, and a lot of those broadcasters, those DJs, were really very influential during some very troubling times. You had DJs that were on the air during, riots from decades past, trying to calm the community, trying to inform the community. So just a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of history. And, speaking of the shoulders upon which we stand, just your career in itself, just phenomenal. I think it's almost like you've touched on every aspect, from being a DJ, from being a news broadcaster, print journalist, radio, television. Can you share with us some reflections on your particular journey and how you have seen this industry change?
Well, during the Civil Rights era, they forgot that the black disc jockeys was the voice of the community, the African American community. And the black disc jockey, the black DJ, the black announcer would tell the people where the important meetings were. They would tell them where Dr. King would be. They would tell them where Jesse Jackson. They'd tell them where all the important figures in the movement would be moving and acting. And that's so very important. The most, I appreciate all the accolades that you give me, but what I'm most proud of in the industry, and it's been 65 years now, are the actions I took against radio stations, against bigotry, against the persons who thought that black people weren't worthy. We closed on one station who thought that we were giving too much black information to the public. We closed down a station that said that white people supposedly earn more money than black people. We closed down a station that just was not knowledgeable enough, who wanted to change formats after the African American community made the station number one. They wanted to go to a pop format in that time. They forgot what the African American community had done for them. There's so many, WERD, WDIA in Memphis, WRD in Atlanta, all these wonderful stations were pioneers, and they told the people what they needed to know. People that other stations just took for granted or did not involve the people whatsoever. And the black disc jockey, the black announcer, the black TV and radio person was the one who was the conduit for all that.
Just listening to you, just what you shared with us in this small amount of time, it's just powerful. It's just so powerful. Uvee, you are singer, songwriter, educator, psychologist. How have you been able to use your psychology background, education background, in regard to, I'm kind of asking a twofold question, in regard to your music, and then also a separate question, what are your reflections? We have come through 2 years of a trying time. From the psychologist aspect, what are your reflections on what you see the state of mental awareness is?
Well, I think it's going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Let me first of all say that I'm an optimist. I'm with this COVID, it's been really, really hard. A lot of jobs have been lost. A lot of lives has been lost. Musicians that I know, their lives has been lost. And it's just been so hard. But I think it's going to get better. I've been extremely careful myself, not accepting as many dates of entertaining because it's so risky. So we just kind of do what we can do and just accept the way it is right now and just kind of hang in there, and it's going to get better. It's one of those roller coaster rides like all the others, up and down, and I think it's going to get better. We just have to be patient, be careful, and do what we need to do to be safe.
Yes. And what prompted you to pursue psychology?
I love children, and in the field of education, we have so many in the urban areas, children who have problems in school. And I just wanted to try to see a little bit more about what I could do to help the children. And that's how I really kind of got into this.
Wow. Yeah, and our children are so, as an educator myself, our children really are, as they say, our future. And they're so, what's the word, pliable, they're so moldable, and what is planted into them at such a young age manifests however it manifests, depending on what it is. It depends on
they need so much help.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are you looking at moving forward? What are some projects that you're looking at?
Yeah, continuing to do music. That's one thing I would never really truly give up. Mm-hmm. I'm at the retirement age for the education field, but as always, once a teacher, always a teacher. So, I'll always be there to tell the next person if they need help, just call on me and I'll do what I can. But music going forward, up and on, I won't give it up. So I'm looking forward to my next CD that's coming out, hopefully in the next maybe month or so.
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm working. Yeah. Thank you so much. What would we do without our music?
Yes, it is such it's therapy, I think. I think our music is such therapy. And to your point, as educators, even though we, retire, we never really retire.
Right.
It's just, you see a child and you find yourself ministering to that child.
Exactly.
Some form or fashion.
So true. So true.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in line with the theme of your program, my television show is aired on an inspirational and gospel station. Oh. So that's in line with what you're doing. and your audience. And so each week when I have a guest on, it's from a person who owns a station who's been helping the poor and homeless for exactly 50 years now. And so that's the facility I'm airing on.
Yes. So, and what are you, in addition to your show, what are you looking at moving forward this year? What projects do you have on the table?
Well, we have the National Black Radio Hall of Fame and the Wolf Jazz Institute, of which I'm over at Harris State University. We're moving into a new facility, a brand new facility, a $3 million facility, hopefully in mid-August, around that time. And looking for that. I am not going to be the interim director of the National Blues Museum much longer. I'll just have an emeritus status there. So it'll continue to go, the National Blues Museum. And I'm just looking forward to the National Black Radio Hall of Fame expanding and bringing on more chapters. We're talking to Al Bell in Little Rock, Arkansas now, and Al's supposed to come on. Tyrone Davis out of Jackson, Mississippi, he's very active now. So just so many people. And then that's the future, hopefully, of Bernie Hayes and Uvee Hayes.
And for those who wish to learn more about the National Black Radio Hall of Fame and your show and so forth, can you share with us your social media or website where they can find out more information?
NBRHOF.com. That's the National Black Radio Hall of Fame.com. And they'll see your picture there too.
Okay, thank you.
And for me, Uvee Hayes.com.
UveeHayes.com, UveeHayes.com. And for the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, it's NBRHOF.com.
.com, right.
Not .org.com.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Marshall Washington, Georgia, make sure it's .org, not .org, but .com. Yeah, she'll tell you.
I know, that's why I was asking. We love Marshall Washington, George, who is the president of the Atlanta chapter of the National Black Radio Hall of Fame, where you can find so much history and so much information about the history of Black radio. And some may ask, why Black radio? Because unfortunately, at a time in this country, as Mr. Hayes shared, Black voices had to fight to be heard. And we had to have a platform upon which to have our voices be heard. So, that's just kind of in a nutshell, but National Black Radio Hall of Fame, I hope you all will go out and support and learn a bit, as we are taping this particular show during Black History Month. So I hope you will go out and learn. Thank you so much, Mr. Bernie Hayes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Uvee Hayes. Ladies and gentlemen, these two, I want you to support these two. I want you to follow these two. They are such an inspiration when it comes to marriage and what it takes for a successful marriage, what it takes for longevity in a relationship. They are also inspirational and motivational in what it takes as a couple to be successful, as well as individuals to be successful. Some things that we are lacking so much today because we're allowing society to dictate what our relationships are looking like. And at the end of the day, it's that man, it's that woman, and how you interact and support each other and love each other and be each other's place of peace, support, and love. So I hope you all got a nugget today. We thank you all so much for joining us. Our underwriters, thank you all so much for your support. Without you, we would not be able to provide this type of programming and this type of platform. So we thank you all so very much for being with us. And as always, the greatest conversation that you will ever have is the one that takes place in between your ears. What are you speaking to yourself? Is God a part of that conversation? And are you listening to his still small voice? Ladies and